What's up, everybody? Jason from PyQuant News. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past 2 years, of course you've heard of ChatGPT. And if you've been living anywhere except that rock over the last maybe 6 or 9 months, you've definitely heard of AI agents. So AI agents are these autonomous bots. Now, agents that do a bunch of stuff based on large language models, and they typically have access to so-called tools. So they can run code or write code or query a SQL database. And agents are a bunch of different actions that are stitched together with prompts. And that all sounds very complicated, and it is very complicated, but lucky for us, we have some incredible tools to actually make it quite easy. So today I'm going to show you how to use a great tool called Llama Index to actually build an agent that will take a text prompt, download some data, and write some code and analyze the data and give you some response. It's pretty incredible. I still get my mind blown every time I look at these things. So let's take a look. So if you've never heard of Llama Index, you can just access it at llamaindex.ai. And they call themselves a knowledge assistant over your enterprise data. So that's their kind of commercial offering. You can see up here they've got enterprise. They've got these things called Llama Parse, which makes it very easy to parse PDFs and Excel spreadsheets and things. But there, of course, is a open source version as well. And you can get started here. You can look through the documentation. It's actually really quite easy to get started, and I'm going to show you how. All right, so we're going to do a bunch of imports here just to get started. And note that I've got a .env file which stores my API credentials for Claude. So I'm going to use Claude Sonnet 3.5 here, the newest model from Anthropic, to do this work. And I've got my API key sitting in this .env file. This is kind of best practice, especially when you're broadcasting to billions of people on YouTube. And I use this .env to load that .env file, which loads the environment variables into your working namespace, okay? All right, so we're gonna make this very easy. And the first thing we're going to do is build a bunch of tools, okay? So we're going to import and instantiate the code interpreter tools, and then we're going to access all the tools that we have available to us in this list. So this is just a list of Llama Index objects, which are these function tools, which allow us to interact with the function capability of these models, okay? As a next step, we are just going to configure the model. And as I mentioned, we're going to use Anthropic. So we're going to build a tokenizer. And what a tokenizer does is it basically takes words and it creates tokens, which are then represented in vectors mathematically in arrays. In addition, we're going to actually instantiate our large language model. So now our large language model is actually attached to a piece of code, which is pretty incredible. And let's finally create our agent. So from our function calling agent, this is an import up here. We're going to say from tools, pass the function tools, which we defined here. Let's use the Claude LLM. We're going to turn verbose on so we can see the thing working and thinking. And we're going to turn off parallel tool calls in our case because we only have one tool. Okay, so if you just look at the agent, it just gives us the object. I don't think that we get anything more interesting than that. Let me go rogue for a second and see. No. Yeah, I wish that we got some more information from this stuff, but we don't. Okay, so the agent is this object. We don't get any real detail about it, at least easily. Okay, finally, let's create a prompt, and we will then run the agent. So my ticker I set is Palantir, and my prompt says, write Python code to detect which day is today. Based on this date, fetch historical prices of Palantir from the beginning of the month until today. So it's not going to be that interesting because it's only about a week and a half, but we'll see what happens, and analyze the last month's prices. So we have this prompt here that we're going to send to the LLM, and you can see that the Palantir ticker symbol is kind of embedded in this prompt. This is just a simple F string. And then to actually write this agent, it's this. When you run this, you can kind of see that you get all this verbose output, right? So you can see the prompt, write the Python code to do this stuff. We add the message to memory, and then we start to get the response from the LLM. So this is where the magic is happening. This is the actual agent that's running. So we've given the agent some instructions that said, I'll help you write Python code to analyze Palantir stock prices. We'll use Y-Finance for fetching stock data and Pandas for analysis. Here's the code. and then it actually runs the tool called Code Interpreter. So Code Interpreter is a tool which allows Llama Index, or our LLM, to run arbitrary code. And you can see then that this is actually all code, which is just lined up on a single line. Then we get today's date, which is the 10th of January. And the start date, of course, is just 9 days ago. So this is not going to be that interesting. But you can kind of see that in this, ugly text, we are getting the response, we are getting the thing to run because it is running on my local computer. And then we get the LLM to give us this output analysis. The code first imports necessary libraries and determines the date range. Here's the date range. It then fetches Palantir stock data and uses Y Finance. Key findings: started at 75, current price is 68. Here's the change: highest, lowest, trading volume. Data shows significant volatility. There's been a downward trend. Trading volumes have been substantial. The analysis shows blah, 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 blah. So in just a couple lines of code, we get a very nice, concise summary with just a very, very simple prompt. And this is what power we have now with tools like Llama Index. So this is a general discipline called AI engineering. I talk a lot about AI engineering on my newsletter and in these videos. I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel for more next time. Take care, everybody. See you again soon.